to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Unless you signed up for public forum.
No. Here we got my license.
Oh, you had an important meeting to go to? Okay. We don't have anyone signed up for public forum. Approval of agenda. It would be approval of our consent agenda, minutes, claims, financial report. It's just approving the agenda, not each item.
I'll make a motion to approve of the agenda.
There's a second? Becky, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, consent agenda. We have our minutes from last meeting, claims for July, and our financial report. Janae, do you have any?
I had a typo on the financial report. So the bottom where it says ending cash and it said 5/31/25, it should have been 6/30/25. So comparing the similar month in June. And then for the board members, since Drew's new to the board, we met to go over some financial information so he was aware of, basics of finances. But I don't know if any of you guys have gone out to the ISPIS site, but I have like the back of it gives this chart that describes all of school funding. It describes the different funds that are available, the sources of revenue, and then what can be expended out of that fund. I just thought you guys might like to have a better picture, and that might help you guys sort through claims. I know Jessica knows all of the information, but that might help solve any questions about whether an expenditure can be on a different fund. So I just wanted to provide that to you guys. And then, not really related to the finance, but related to the agendas. I had already taken mine off of Assembly, and when I added Drew, it was showing Drew on, I just want people to be aware that it was showing Drew as a board member before he became a board member, and just was showing that he was absent on Assembly. But it was just administrative things, because I'm also learning Assembly. So just for that's it.
Okay. So we'll continue to do where we have a first motion. Someone makes a motion and then a second, and then we'll have discussion before we vote on it. So if anybody want to make a motion on?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second. Becky, second. Okay. Does anybody have any questions or comments or concerns on the minutes, claims, or the financial report? Okay. Motion to approve minutes, claims, and financial report.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay. Second. Becky, a second. Okay. Resignations and appointments. Appointments, we have Dwayne Blint, full-time bus driver. Vita Neely, special ed associate. Emma Harris, special ed associate. Susie Slemmer, as a district full-time sub. And then resignation, Stevie Ensminger, special ed associate, and Dennis Carter, golf co-assistant coach.
Doing them all together?
Yeah.
If you guys want to. Sure.
Make a motion to approve resignations and appointments.
I'll second.
Okay. Any questions or? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, reports. Superintendent report.
So I have a superintendent's report. I have a formal report that I'll send you guys monthly. It's okay.
Oh, okay.
It's okay. I was making eye contact with her and then she realized what was happening. So my plan to report out on a monthly basis, unless you guys want that to look different, is just on celebrations, current work, looking ahead, and then things to be aware of. So far I've met with each board member just to listen and understand the strengths of the district as well as the priorities. Our leadership team is already meeting and preparing for things for the fall, and fall athletics and homecoming are underway. Current work, the last couple of weeks we've been planning with Ann Morgan. We are going to launch a staff culture and climate survey, and we are working on the greenhouse project. We are planning, as far as leadership goes, we're creating our priorities, goals for the year. We will be meeting when we go up to SAI in early August as a team and already getting all of that planning underway. And then one of the focuses this year is on the 15-day challenge, which is on the teaching and assessing cycle. So how are we looking at students' learning and instruction? And the Friday PDs actually lend themselves really well to that cycle for teachers to look at all of that and plan well. As far as looking ahead, you're going to hear about a staff survey that's going out next week. We're going to use our talking points database. It's like a launch system to get people to check their emails. We're hoping for a high percentage rate, even though it's summer. SAI, which is School Administrators of Iowa, in August. We're going to go as a team and plan and work together. And then we need to finalize the coaches handbook in the coming weeks as well. So there's some little pieces of that we didn't get shored up for this meeting. As far as awareness for the board, we just need to spend some time in the coming weeks thinking about maintenance support. We're working really hard through West Burlington's contracted services that were set up prior to me coming to ensure long-term operational needs are met. They're here a day a week. We've met twice. Jen was there for one of them. And so there's just going to be some things that we need to tend to. Our custodial team has been doing a fantastic job getting the buildings ready, getting things ready for students and staff. And I'm just going to continue to build relationships with staff and community members as I'm learning the district and the community.
Is the survey that goes out is in August?
Yep.
And when are those results compiled, and will they be available to the board? Will we see that?
Well, so Ann Morgan, we would have information from them because of the anonymous part. I think what I was thinking was themes and kind of dividing that out into quick wins, long-term priorities. A teacher team helped generate the questions, and the survey closes on the Friday. I think it's August 7th, but I don't. Yes, August 7th. So then Ann's going to use that weekend and that Monday to get everything compiled. The three of us will meet on the 12th with Ann to talk about what that means, to then prepare for what that looks like on August 19th as far as like a launch. So is there a board meeting on, is it the 17th? So I could potentially bring part of my report on the 17th.
Yeah, I didn't know. So then do you do that at a all staff meeting or a PD? Do they see the results of the compiled stuff? And
I think themes and priorities will come out of that. There's different areas, communication, accountability, things around teacher needs, student needs. So I think we could have different components from every dimension in the survey
because what is the goal of the survey?
Well, when I think Ann was meeting with the school before I came to the district, and it sounded like I was hearing priorities around morale and culture that it lends itself to. And the teachers were meeting with before I even came.
Right. I didn't know what you do with the information you receive from it. You know, if it's then implemented in PDs.
It's not just sort of.
It's all stuff. I think we want to see the results before we can make a whole lot of plans to know what it means. So we will definitely be responding to all of the responses. We're very committed to the survey. So we really want people to respond.
People will probably hear about, we had a survey, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And I put it in my welcome email today to be expecting it. I've already gotten lots of responses to that already too. So there are some people checking their emails.
Plus, just a survey gives people, to me, the feeling that they're being heard. You know, if they have a choice to do it, hopefully they'll do it.
Right.
That's the goal. I hope so too.
And I assume it tells you the percentage of staff that completed it or something.
Anne will be monitoring all of that. we really are hands off on the receiving
Right.
of the information.
Did
So-
you guys pick that, or is it something software?
The teacher, there was a teacher team that came together and they created some questions. We turned them into a Likert scale, just for analysis of how many questions there were to make that manageable. And then there's 4 open-ended questions.
Anything else for Jamie? All right. Thank you, Jamie.
Mhm.
Next, board business. An action item is approving the emergency operation plan. I hope y'all looked at that ahead of time because it's kind of lengthy. From what I saw, the changes are in red. Correct. And then I have a question on this. Does this go then, where is this located? I assume each office, but is there one in each classroom or? Because it talks about what to do in every, different type of thing and who to call during this times. I didn't know if
I would need to look into that.
Right up there. Yeah, right up there. See what
Okay.
the-
Yep, right here.
Yep, like a shortened condensed version. Every room is supposed to have one. One thing I looked at when I was reading through there was I would like to see the SRO involved a little bit more in some of this information. I had to go pretty much down clear to the bottom of where before I could find them added in there. But some of these things, even when it talks about who to contact first, in my opinion, he should probably be first or second person contacted in some of these emergency situations. So I might want to take some time to go through and see if we could get him, maybe even have him look it over and see where he could fit in to this a little bit more than where he's at.
I could take some time in the before the next board meeting to get input from them if we're not wanting to approve it just yet. I don't know the level of input on those pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah, and from when I have done different disaster planning, obviously not at the school, and when we have a actual situation, most of it doesn't go as planned. I mean, and also, I think when you have your command center and designate who is your person in charge or I can't remember what that term was. And I think maybe this has been ongoing. My guess would be before we had an SRO. And so then that got put into it because they just update the little things each year. That would have been but we can certainly table it. Does it have to be approved by the beginning of the school year or a certain date or?
I don't know the answer.
Okay. Well, next meeting would still be by the beginning of the school year.
Okay.
So.
Any other things to tend to so that we feel more confident in August?
So Scott, what you were talking about back here, these are just the what to do in the situation.
Yeah, like there's there's
Fire,
there's
grab that.
things like if we lock down classrooms,
Fire, tornado.
what the difference between tornado fire versus shelter in place versus hole in the classroom.
So do any of our rooms above the doorways have any posters that tell where to go, like for fire?
And see it up there on top.
Oh.
Complex.
Every room should have that as well. And we make them every summer if they lose them. If they tell us, we make them right away, get them back to them.
Tornado only, so that
We were, during our maintenance meeting today, we were talking about the fire marshal and talking about not being able to put things on the wall. And so she was saying, should it be bigger and above the doorway? And I don't know if you guys went to the boards because of the fire marshal's recommendations.
No, typically the teachers would put it where they put all their information so the kids know, hey, if I'm in this room, if I need my information, I just look there. That's what they've done. Typically.
And I understand, I guess,
Mhm.
just being, I've always had a poster that the AEA made, put it above our doorway when it's fire and tornado and it's big, so that anybody in there could just look there, because those are the two main ones, and they don't have to go thumbing through wherever, you know, I don't know, that's just a suggestion.
Hey, small things. It's not because it's facing the wall.
If there ever was an incident where you'd have to contact the SRO, is there a way to contact them without a cell phone number, like through a paging system?
We have radios.
Everyone has radios.
So the radio in each office, SRO has one, hers, carries one of those, one in the shop.
But those are on a cell phone system, aren't they?
Well, I was
They
just
are on
thinking,
their cell phone and band.
Oh, they are banned as well. Okay.
so I was just thinking, the only thing I saw here was just a cell phone number for contacting. Yeah, so I didn't know if there was another way. Paging system.
Radio, yeah. So even if you ran to lunch at Casey, you had his radio on, he'll actually still get the message from us to run back real quick, but I stay at that.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else on that? I don't know if we need to make a motion to table it or. Okay.
I'll make the motion, table the emergency operations plan, 26, 27 for the August meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, fundraising action items. We have Flower Barn for the 8th grade trip. I think they sell baked goods or.
Yeah, they've done this. Sorry,
Go. You're fine. You're good.
They did this last year too. This was one of the primary early fundraisers that they did, and I know that they're very they're raising money constantly. But I know that the three ladies that are heading that up primarily have been in contact with me and trying to figure out, you know, how much they need to continue versus how much they're spending, because they really want to continue this, but they were really kind of worried about how much funding they have, because they go to St. Louis every year, or if they're going to do these things. But this is one of the fundraising.
Okay. Okay.
Make a motion to approve Flower Barn fundraiser for 8th grade trip.
So they can't.
Becky second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, For Freedom Counseling action item. Mallory Vogopol has provided middle school, high school students with mental health support since 2001. It says, it gets cut off. I can't read it all. She does an amazing job. She serves our students.
I can read it. Read
I think
the,
it's salaries that we.
Is there a cost? Yeah, we were wondering. We didn't
Just swipe it.
Over at the top.
so she serves our students 1 day a week. We use Title IX or Title IV dollars. Mallory is working to get a professional mental health license through the VO. This will make her eligible for 2 sharing.
2 sharing incentives. Mm-hmm.
Are we already getting sharing incentive for her?
I don't think so. I think we just currently pay for it for child centers, but
So
that
we
would,
wouldn't get
that would,
that would
I think
happen
that
anyway.
counts.
We're capped at
We don't-
sharing. So, okay. Fair motion on For Freedom Counseling.
I'll make a motion to approve Freedom Counseling 2026, 2027.
There a second?
Second.
Becky will second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, so we have policies here. I am going to read some of these. I mean, some of these are really short if you looked at them. I know there'll be few that we'll have some more discussion on. So tonight is just the first reading of policies. And we can discuss, each policy after I read it, if anybody has concerns or wants to see changes. And then they'll be on the agenda to approve in August. But that at that time too can come up more discussion too, if there is on policy. We also have kind of a backlog of policies that we need to approve. So we're going to be seeing quite a few going forward because they're supposed to be reviewed every 5 years. And there's quite a few from 2021. So the first one is the power of the board of directors. The board of directors acting on behalf of the school district will have jurisdiction over school matters within the territory of the school district. The board is empowered to make policy for its own governance, for employees, for students, and for school district facilities. The board is also empowered to enforce its policies. The board may, through its quasi-judicial power, conduct hearings and rule on issues and disputes confronting the school district. The board has these powers and all other powers expressly granted to it in federal and state law, as well as the powers that can be reasonably implied from the express powers. Anybody have any discussion on that one? Okay. Code of ethics. This one's kind of long, so I'm not going to read every single item. However, I believe this code of ethics is straight from on Assembly or Iowa School Board policy. I don't want to say templates. This one is straight from the template. But board members' actions, verbal and nonverbal, reflect the attitude and the beliefs of the district. Therefore, board members must conduct themselves professionally and in a manner fitting to their position. Each board member will follow the code of ethics stated in this policy. Unless you want me to read them all. I can. I will listen. I'll respect the opinions of others. I will recognize the integrity of my predecessors and associates and the merit of their work. I'll be motivated only by earnest desire to serve my school district and the children of my school district community in the best way possible. I will not use the school district or any part of the school district program for my own personal advantage or for the advantage of my friends or supporters. I will vote for a closed session of the board if the situation requires it, but I will consider star chamber or secret sessions of board members unethical. I'll recognize that to promise in advance of a meeting how I will vote on any position which is to be considered is to close my mind and agree not to think through other facts and point of view which may be presented during the meeting. I will expect in board meetings to spend more time on education programs and procedures than on business details. I will recognize that authority rests in the board in legal session and not with individual members of the board, except as authorized by law. I'll make no disparaging remarks in or out of board meetings about other members of the board or their opinions. I will express my honest and most thoughtful opinion frankly in board meetings in an effort to have decisions made for the best interest of the children and the education program. I'll insist that the members of the board participate fully in board action and recommend that when special committees are appointed, they serve only in investigative and advisory capacity. I will abide by major decisions of the board. I will carefully consider petitions, resolutions, and complaints, and will act in the best interest of the school district. I will not discuss the confidential business of the board in my home, on the street, or in my office. The place for discussion is the board meeting. I will endeavor to keep informed on local, state, and national educational developments of significance so I may become a better member of the board. In meeting my responsibility to the school district, I will consider myself a trustee of public education and will do my best to protect it, conserve it, and advance it, giving to the children of my school district community the educational facilities that are as complete and adequate as it is possible to provide. I will consider it an important responsibility of the board to interpret the aims, methods, and attitudes of the school district to the community. I will earnestly try to interpret the needs and attitudes of the school district community and do my best to translate them into the education program of the school district. I will attempt to produce adequate financial support for the school district. I will represent the entire school district rather than individual electors, patrons, or groups. I will not regard the school district's facilities as my own private property, but as the property of the people. In my relationship with superintendent and employees, I will function in meeting the legal responsibility that is mine as a part of a legislative, evaluative, policy-forming body, not as an administrative officer. I will recognize that it's my responsibility, together with that of my fellow board members, to see the school district is properly run and not to run them myself. I will expect the school district to be administered by the best trained technical and professional people it's possible to produce within the financial resources of the school district. I'll recognize the superintendent as executive officer of the board. I will work through the administrative employees of the board, not over or around them. I will expect the superintendent to keep the board adequately informed through oral and written reports. I will vote to employ employees only after the recommendation of the superintendent has been received. I will insist that contracts be equally binding on teachers and the board. I will give the superintendent power commensurate with the superintendent's responsibility and will not in any way interfere or seek to undermine the superintendent's authority. I will give the superintendent friendly counsel and advice. I will present any personal criticism of employees to the superintendent. I will refer complaints to the proper administrative officer. To cooperate with other school boards, I will not employ a superintendent, principal, or teacher who's already under contract with another school district without first securing assurance from the proper authority that the person can be released from contract. I will consider it unethical to pursue any procedure calculated to embarrass a neighboring board or its representatives. I will associate myself with board members of other school districts for the purpose of discussing school district issues and cooperating in the improvement of the education program. Okay. Any comments or questions on that? I think it's good to be reminded of all of that periodically. Okay, vice president. The vice president of the board is elected by majority vote at the organizational meeting in odd numbered years or at the annual meeting in even numbered years to serve a one-year term of office. By this election, if the board president is unable or unwilling to carry out the duties required, it's the responsibility of the vice president of the board to carry out the duties of the president. If the president is unable or unwilling to complete the term of office, the vice president will serve as president for the balance of the president's term of office, and a new vice president will be elected. The vice president will accept control of the meeting from the president when the president wishes to make or second a motion. The vice president will take an active role in board decisions by discussing and voting on matters before the board in the same manner as other board members. Discussion on vice president. I do have a suggestion if you guys don't have anything. I think after the second paragraph, the last sentence, the vice president will serve as president for the balance of the president's term of office and a new vice president will be elected. I think we should add something if the vice president is willing to do so. We had that instance and we can't make somebody be in a position that they don't want to be in. So I think that gives us, and if they're unwilling to, then we go to the policy of electing president.
Yeah. Obviously, that was a weird situation, and I would have done whatever. But yeah, I mean, I didn't want the presidency, so I think there definitely should have been something in there. Yeah, that makes that possible.
I have looked at some other districts' policies too, and that's where it said if the president is willing, and if they are not, then the board president position would go to a nomination and vote. Yes, that's how that sounds.
Yeah.
So for the second reading, how will you approve? I'm trying to make notions for the second reading. Like, how will you approve? Will you go through?
So at the
Policy by
second reason,
policy.
usually we do the ones that we've only made changes to.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I don't have it typed here.
No, that's okay. I'm gonna. 6.2 is like add a sentence of if the vice president is willing.
Yeah. Okay, Board of Director Legal Counsel. It's the responsibility of the board to employ legal counsel to assist the board and administration in carrying out their duties with respect to numerous legal issues confronting the school district. The board may appoint legal counsel at its annual meeting. The superintendent and board secretary will have the authority to contact the board's legal counsel on behalf of the board when the superintendent or board secretary believes it's necessary for the management of the school district. The board president may contact and seek advice from the school board's legal counsel. The board's legal counsel will attend both regular and special school board meetings upon the request of the board or the superintendent. Board members may contact legal counsel upon approval of a majority of the board. It's the responsibility of each board member to pay the legal fees, if any, of an attorney the board member consulted regarding matters of the school district unless the board has authorized the board member to consult an attorney on the matter. It's the responsibility of the superintendent to keep the board informed of matters for which legal counsel was consulted, particularly if the legal services will involve unusual expense for the school district. So, just so IASB has a free legal consultant that we can contact. So, Drew, so you know that IASB has that option. And then if we would contact our approved legal counsel on our own, we'd be responsible for the payment to that. Does anybody have anything they want to?
If you do seek counsel on that, do you get a written response
From IASB or
from the attorney?
from our attorney? I suppose you could ask for a written response. You would want it in an email, or if you want to document the.
We put wording in there that if anyone does seek counsel and they get a written response, it gets shared with the board.
Yeah.
So everyone can see the response. Unless it's personal or private, I guess, but.
I'm thinking about every time I've called is around special education and it's around a specific student. So
I think he means the board's.
Like
If
on
the board,
it's the board.
if the board's contacting.
Not if.
Got
if
it.
the board
Okay.
does for a policy question or something like that. It'd be nice to have a written response, so don't have to try to secondhand relay.
And do you mean when we have voted to contact, sort of thing, or like you just say, hey, I want to go seek the counsel and I'm going to pay for it myself?
Well, I guess it would depend on what it is. Like I said, if it's something personal or private, that shouldn't be shared. But if it's a policy question that we could all use the information on, I don't see why it would be a good idea to share it.
Yeah. I think if it's something that we've voted on and we know they're
Yeah.
contacting, otherwise if it's, because if I'm contacting, paying for it personally,
Yeah.
like I did that on my own, right?
That's your advice.
Right, right. But if it's something that the board has voted on, to contact the legal counsel, we could put something in there that, or also during that time, if we had to vote on, like Kyle's going to call, and in order us to make a motion, I make a motion for Kyle to call legal counsel, providing he reports back to the board with, or we could get it that way when you make a motion. Is that all right?
Not me.
Regular meeting. The regular meeting time and date will be set by the board at the organizational meeting in odd number years or at the annual meeting in even number years. The regular board meetings of the board will be held on the third Monday of each month. Meetings will begin promptly at 6 p.m. The board will adhere to this meeting date and time unless the board requires additional meetings or due to circumstances beyond the board's control. The meetings cannot be held on the regular meeting date, and the meeting will be rescheduled in accordance with law and policy. Public notice of meetings will be given. And in another policy is the notice of meetings. So that was touched on in a different policy. Anybody have anything on that? Okay. Work sessions.
We're all trying to help this.
Oh, nobody's won't load for anybody?
No.
Okay. Technology.
Mine's loading now. Okay. Wait a little quick.
Okay. Somebody want to read that one? I don't have it up yet.
The work sessions one.
Yes.
The board, as a decision-making body, is confronted with a continuing flow of problems, issues, and needs which require action. While the board is determined to expedite its business, it is also mindful of the importance of planning, brainstorming, and thoughtful discussion without action. Therefore, the board may schedule work sessions and retreats in order to provide its members and the administration with such opportunities. The board has the authority to hire an outside facilitator to assist them in work sessions. Topics for discussion and study will be announced publicly, and work sessions and retreats will be conducted in open session. No board action will take place at the work session.
Any concerns with that one? Anybody have any comments? Okay, I do have quorum up already. So. Action by the board, this is quorum. Action by the board regarding the affairs of the school district may be taken only when a quorum, a majority of the board members, is in attendance at the board meeting. While in-person participation is encouraged, board members may attend meetings either in person or electronically, provided each member can hear and be heard in real time by all members present and the public. While board members are encouraged to attend board meetings, 3 members will constitute a quorum and are sufficient number to transact business of the school corporation. The adjournment of a meeting may be executed without a quorum. Affirmative vote of a majority of votes cast is sufficient to pass a motion or take action unless law or board policy requires a vote of a greater number. It's the responsibility of each board member to attend board meetings. Any questions on quorum?
Reading all this now?
Well, I don't think I can have to read closed session.
Okay.
I wanted to read the ethics one because I just thought it was very pertinent. Next one is closed session exceptions to open meeting laws. And it highlights closed session must take place inside of an open meeting. So there has to be a vote, a minimum of 2/3 of the board has to vote in favor of going into closed session, and the motion is voted on by roll call. Closed sessions are taped, and they have detailed minutes kept. However, they are not made public. Tape recordings and written minutes are kept for 1 year from the date of the meeting. They will only be available to board members or open upon court order in action to enforce the requirements of the open meeting law. And there are only certain reasons that we may go into closed session. And I'm just going to read those to public in here. So the reasons that we can hold a closed session are to review or discuss records which are required or authorized by state or federal law to be kept confidential, or to be kept confidential as a condition of the board's possession or receipt of federal funds, to discuss strategy with legal counsel in matters presently in litigation or where litigation is imminent, if disclosure would be likely to prejudice or disadvantage the board. To discuss whether to conduct a hearing for suspension or expulsion of a student unless an open meeting is requested by the student or the parent of the student. To evaluate the professional competency of an individual whose appointment, hiring, performance, or discharge is being considered when a closed session is necessary to prevent needless or irreparable injury to the individual's reputation and that individual requests a closed session. To discuss purchase or sale of a particular real estate, but only when premature disclosure could be reasonably expected to increase the price the board would have to pay for the property, or in case of a sale, reduce the price the board could receive for the property. You guys have anything on closed sessions? Public complaints. Board recognizes situations may arise from the operation of school district, which are concerned to parents and other board members of the school district community. The board firmly believes concerns should be resolved at the lowest organizational level by those individuals closest to the concern. Whenever a complaint or concern is brought to the attention of the board, it will be referred to the administration to be resolved. Prior to board action, however, the following should be completed. Matters should first be addressed to the teacher or employee. Unsettled matters from A above or problems and questions about individual attendance centers should be addressed to the employee's building principal. Unsettled matters from B above or problems and questions concerning the school district should be redirected to the superintendent. If a matter cannot be settled satisfactorily by the superintendent, it may then be brought to the board for consideration. To bring a concern, the individual shall notify the board president or board secretary in writing, whom may bring it to the attention of the entire board. It's within the discretion of the board to address complaints from the member of the school district community, and the board will only consider whether to address complaints if they are in writing, signed, and the complaint has complied with this policy. The board is not obligated to address a complaint and may defer to the decision of the superintendent. If the board elects not to address the complaint, the decision of the superintendent shall be final. If the board does elect to address the complaint, its decision shall be final. Anybody want to see anything changed in that. I don't think I need to read the next one. Responsibility of board of directors that we're representing the citizens of the school district. It's our responsibility to follow legislative policy, and we're the policy making body.
We'll do back to the second part.
Yep.
So if we get let's say just an email or something from somebody about a complaint, that needs to go to the board and superintendent before we can answer it, or
Well, it should go to the building. If it's a parent, it should go to the teacher first. If it's a complaint about or coach, and then it would go from there to their direct supervisor, which would either be the AD or the Finley principal. And if they didn't get any resolution from that, then it would go to the superintendent. And then if they didn't get any resolution from that, they would have to provide a letter to us.
stating what they had done.
Yep. And then we would discuss it as a board if needed to be.
But it doesn't mean you couldn't respond by
Just a
saying,
generic-
have you checked in on, yeah, or what does your process look like to meet with so-and-so or so-and-so?
specific address.
Because also, and you'll learn this when we have some board training, but if somebody would contact you and you would engage in a conversation of, okay, tell me about the incident, what happened, stuff like that. If it would come to the board where we would have to make a decision, you would not be able to vote on it because you would have other knowledge of the situation. So.
Thank you.
Okay. I went back to that one. Now I can't get back to the board of directors. Responsibilities of the board of directors. Can we read that one? You all want to read it quick?
Which one?
Because I don't think it's a big one that people are concerned about. Responsibility of the board of directors. You can hold
This
that.
is all about our superintendent, right?
Responsibilities of the board. Anybody have any concerns of that? President. It is the responsibility of the board president to lead a well-organized board in an efficient and effective manner. The board president will set the tone of the board meetings and, as the representative of the consensus of the board, speak on behalf of the board to the public. The president of the board is elected by majority vote at the organizational meeting in odd number years or at the annual meeting in even numbered years to serve a one-year term of office. The president, in addition to presiding at board meetings, will take an active role in board decisions by discussing and voting on each motion before the board in the same manner as other board members. Before making or seconding a motion, the board president will turn over control of the meeting to either the vice president or other board member. The board president has the authority to call special meetings of the board. Prior to board meetings, the board president will consult with the superintendent on developing the agenda for the meeting. The board president, as chief officer of the school district, will sign employment contracts and sign other contracts and school district warrants approved by the board and appear on behalf of the school corporation in causes of action involving the school district. Anybody have any concerns with that one? Secretary treasurer. Is it a logo? The board secretary treasurer may be appointed from employees other than the position requiring a teaching certificate or from the public. To finalize the appointment, the board secretary treasurer will take the oath of office during the meeting at which the individual was appointed or no later than 10 days thereafter. It's a responsibility of the board secretary treasurer as custodian of school district records to preserve and maintain the records and documents pertaining to the business of the board. To keep complete minutes of special and regular board meetings, including closed session, to keep and record of the results of regular and special elections, to keep an accurate account of school funds, to sign warrants drawn on on the school funds after board approval and collect data on truant students. The board secretary treasurer will also be responsible for filing the required reports with the Iowa Department of Ed. It's the responsibility of the secretary treasurer to oversee the investment portfolio, to receive funds of the school district, to pay out the funds for expenses approved by the board, to maintain accurate accounting records for each fund, to report monthly regarding the investment portfolio and the status of each fund, and to file required reports with appropriate state agencies and other entities. It will also be the responsibility of the secretary treasurer to coordinate the financial records, the financial reports, the cash flow needs, and the investment portfolio of the school district. In the event the board secretary treasurer is unable to fulfill the responsibilities set out by the board and the law, the superintendent will assume those duties until the board secretary treasurer is able to resume the responsibility or a new board secretary treasurer is appointed. The board secretary treasurer will give bond in an amount set by the board. The cost of the bond will be paid by the school district. I do have just a question, because your SBO is not always your secretary treasurer. Correct? Correct. It could be voted be a different person. Totally. That was news to me. Because like, who's going to do all that for free?
Our agency uses a different person. Yeah.
Yeah.
We use the Cardinal SBO.
Does all of your finances and all of that?
No, we have an SBO that does our finances, but our board secretary
Just does the minutes of the meeting and stuff like that. Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Anybody have anything on? Annual meeting. Each year after August 31st and prior to the organizational meeting of the board in odd number years, the board will hold its annual meeting. At the annual meeting, the board will examine the financial books and settle the secretary and treasurer's statements for the fiscal year ending the preceding June. As part of the annual reports, the treasurer will present affidavits from depository banks. The board may also appoint the board's legal counsel at the annual meeting. Anybody have any changes to that? No. Special meeting. It may be necessary for the board to conduct a special meeting in addition to the regularly scheduled board meetings. Special meetings may be called by the president of the board or by the board secretary at the request of a majority of the board. Should a special meeting be called, public notice will be given. If the special meeting called is an emergency meeting and the board cannot give public notice in its usual manner, the board will give public notice of the meeting as soon as practical and possible in light of the situation. Emergency meetings will only be held when an issue cannot wait 24 hours necessary for a special meeting. The reason for an emergency meeting and why notice in its usual manner could not be given will be stated in the minutes. Only the purpose or issue for which the special meeting was called may be discussed and decided in the special meeting. The board will strictly adhere to the agenda for the special meeting, and action on other issues will be reserved for the next regular or special board meeting. Anything to change or comment? Okay. Meeting notice. Public notice will be given for meetings and work sessions held by the board. Public notice will indicate the time, place, date, and tentative agenda of board meetings. The public notice will be posted in a prominent place clearly designated for posting agendas in the central administrative office at least 4 days before it's scheduled, but at the minimum, 24-hour notice needs to be given. A copy of the public notice will be provided to those who have filed a request for notice with the secretary. A copy of the public notice will also be accessible to employees and students. In the case of a special meeting, public notice will be given in the same manner as for regular meetings, unless it's an emergency meeting. In that case, public notice of the meeting will be given as soon as practical and possible in light of the situation. The media and others who have requested notice will be notified of the emergency meeting. Attendance at a special meeting or emergency meeting by the media or board members will constitute a waiver of notice. It's the responsibility of the board secretary to give public notice of board meetings and work sessions. Do you guys have anything on that one? My only comment, I would thought that to have at least 4 days before it's scheduled, or at the minimum 24 hours, I think the 4 days is kind of useless to have in there. Because if you're going to do it 24 hours is the minimum, and if you do it anytime before that, it's okay. I mean, I just don't understand why we have 4 days when. And again, I looked at others. Some of them said 2. A lot of them just said 24 hours notice. And do we need to be more specific on where the meeting notice is posted? Like it's always on the door, but if I didn't know where it was and I was looking, where do they post their meetings? And some other ones said it will be posted on the website too, or just some thoughts if you guys wanted anything.
I mean, I'm okay with taking the 4 days off because I mean, if you do it earlier, I guess it doesn't. I mean, that's better. And then also, I mean, they are posted on the websites, right? The notices? No, maybe,
I don't know that it's posted on our school.
maybe not.
On our school.
I could be wrong. For some reason, I thought they were.
It's usually just assembly stuff.
Oh, the assembly is maybe what I'm thinking of. Yeah. Guess you could just say in there that it's posted on assembly too.
I think the 4 days is kind of like the board's goal. Like
Oh.
we really would ideally like it the Wednesday before the meeting or the Thursday. How I see that is that was what you guys were communicating to me, Janae, that you wanted us to make sure we were prepping by for that. But
In all honesty, I never knew it was 4 days until we read, I just thought it was 24 hours. Because what,
Or something. Or a lot of time. But if I can see where it's confusing, it's like at least 4 days at a more minimum of 24 hours. One or the other.
right. I mean, we don't have to change anything. To me, it was.
Maybe just clear it up, like you said.
I think 24 hours is minimum. I don't know that we wouldn't want to go away from that. So it's if you want the goal stated.
I know on Mondays we try to have it on there by Friday.
Jamie and I had talked, and the real goal that Chad always had, and we're both kind of in this situation where I'm also learning the system, but I think the real goal going forward, I would like for myself is to have everything out to the board and to the public by like Wednesday, especially in this instance where we're reviewing what's the board policy, and it gives me more of an opportunity for people to review those before the board meeting. That's what I would prefer going forward, but it is sometimes hard.
So I have a question. If I'm a community member and I know you post the agenda on there, it says reviewing board policies, but it doesn't list what policies are.
You're not required to be.
Okay.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. Like, do they know what policies or what specifics are going to be on?
No, it just has to, my understanding is it just has to be the basic agenda, but Assembly has all of that, like if people want to go.
And the
you don't
public
have to
can just
sign up
get
on
on.
Assembly, you can.
I think you just add
Yeah,
assembly in there.
you can view the agenda on there. It has.
And then you can see the attachments.
Just not the law.
But maybe
Yeah,
suggestion
the locked
that
ones.
maybe we could, maybe when Tammy is here, in doing that work session, we have her cover for the community, like how to sign in to Assembly, because I don't know if people you don't have to sign up for it. You just put in Iowa and then the school district, but maybe people don't know how to do that, but then they can always view the attachment there.
I could do that as well.
I just know that people have said things about transparency.
Yeah.
And
That's why I think it might be
or
good if it
hiding
was me.
things or.
It is kind of hard to find through the website, but if you could put just a link on the main page where you don't have to go through the menus, it'd be a little easier, I think.
Well, and they're posted in town too, right? Aren't they posted at the library, the notice of our meetings? And
If they choose.
Yeah, but I'm saying like you can't see an attachment
Right,
on those
right.
on Assembly.
Right. But I meant besides,
I don't know if it's at the library or the.
I thought it was at the.
If they probably do that for the community, but they're not required.
Okay, yeah,
We need to thank them for that.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Open meetings.
Well,
Do we want anything?
yeah, where are we landing on this?
Do we want any changes to that? I think if your guys' goal is Wednesday to leave that 4 days in.
It's leaving 4 days, I'd say.
Okay.
Like if at all possible, 4 days, but at a minimum of 24 hours.
And then I don't know if you want to add something in to like assembly.
Huh?
If we change assembly.
Yeah, then you have to change this.
Wait,
I think it's something like, can there be disclosure, something on the agenda you post that says may be visible, symbol, have the symbol thing on that.
Yeah, and I kind of like to, suggestion too, is we can put a link to
Yeah.
the website and then just say to view board agenda meeting minutes, you go.
Yep. Yeah.
It's pretty self-explanatory, I think, the state and school district.
Right. And then it pops up. Yeah. It's not a lot of stuff on there. Okay. Couple more. Open meetings, a gathering of majority of board members, either in person or electronically, in which deliberation of an issue within the scope of the board's policy-making duties takes place, is a board meeting. A gathering for the purpose of social or ministerial action will not constitute a board meeting when there's no discussion of policy or no intent to avoid the purpose of the open meeting law. Meetings of the board will be conducted in an open meeting unless a closed session is authorized by law or the meeting is exempt from the open meeting law. Anything on that? I just think it is what it is. So, okay.
That's what we need to talk.
Yeah, this one we'll have some discussion on. Public participation in board meetings. Right now, I'll just read the section of ours that's basically different from others. Ours is the second paragraph. Public comment will be limited to posted agenda items. Citizens with specific complaints or concerns not on the posted agenda are encouraged to follow board policy 21301 public complaints to ensure the review and processing of concerns at the lowest organizational level of those closest to the concern. The board president will recognize individuals to make their comments at the appropriate time during public comment. Citizens wishing to present petitions to the board may do so at this time. The board, however, will only receive the petitions and not act upon them or their contents. Another thing that this one does not have is what is required for the petition. When I was reviewing other ones, it talks about how many signatures if you want an agenda item to be placed on the agenda, the public does. They have to have so many petitions, or have a petition with so many signatures, and a lot of other policies you can see in some of these samples. So I know there's discussion because I know that there are some community people and people on the board. Just for reference, this policy was last revised December of 2024. And when we did it, it was a unanimous vote at that time. So I went through and got a variety of some other sample policies if you guys are wanting to make changes to our policy. I just highlighted some things that just wording that was different from the templates. The majority of them, there was an Indianola one, and this is the majority of the policies of the districts. And the only thing they change in there is normally the speaker will be limited to how many minutes and the total participation time. And that's what Assembly's template looks like. Some of these other ones have just on how you want to get on the agenda or speak at public forum. So what would you guys like to see or talk about this policy?
How do you feel? You know, our policies are what we lean into when we need to lean into something. And so I'm not at all opposed to having some open time for people. I think that that's their avenue. In reviewing some of the ones that Jen sent, I really like Creston's because it leans into the idea that people have at least addressed it within their building or where the concern lies, because I'm getting a strong sense of that we've been trying to do that is get people to go back to the coach or go back to the teacher or go back to the principal. So I like how C in Creston's indicates that they have at least acknowledged that they've attempted to do that communication level. I like 3 minutes, 30 minutes feels like a long time, but I also really like that we're protecting our staff and ourselves. You know, you all in the instance that we can't attack the person, we would just protect that. So I think it's where you can't name someone specifically. So those are all things that I've been thinking about, but
I want to have a discussion about, because I want somebody to help me see it from a different perspective. Okay. So being the duties of the board is governance, policies, that kind of stuff. I guess I don't know what somebody from the community would bring to the board that they just want to speak about that's not on an agenda to let us know about something. Because I feel that we're not going to have the answers for them. They need to go to the source. I feel it gives an avenue for people to get away from that. And when they sign up right at the meeting, I don't want to say, what's your topic on? Have you taken this up with the building superintendent? Have you, so I think there would have to be some earlier notice if somebody wants to speak. But again, I don't know what as a board we would do, because we only have any power is if they've been through all of that stuff already. And then our policy says they should have something in writing to us. But I'm open for, I just want to brainstorm. I don't want the public to feel like they can't be heard, but I question whether they want to be heard by us or they want to be heard by the community because they want to. That's where I come from.
I would be open to letting people speak on items that aren't on the agenda, as long as we do have notice beforehand, so that I can prepare any information I can get on it beforehand. And then if they do speak and it's something that we want to talk about more, we can always make a motion to add it to the next agenda during the meeting.
the Kingsley Pearson one kind of goes that route through where it talks about days before.
But then
No, that's board raise their hand. Never mind. I had that wrong.
that if we do change that, it kind of goes against the other policy that we have of going through the channels first. Yes, and kind of contradict each other. So if there's going to be a change to one, I feel like it might have to be a change to both.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, like, I would just like to know why people want to speak at open forum. Like, are there lots of people out there that has lots of things to say that they feel like they haven't been heard by, I mean, I'm just the purpose of the board and what. If we do open it up, I do like, it's highlighted in green, but when she printed it off, it got real dark, hard to see, where it says speakers may offer such objective criticism of school operations and programs as concern them. But in public session, the board will not hear personal complaints of school personnel nor against any person connected with the school system. That's what I don't want to see. And I don't want people coming to attack. We've had board members attacked. We've had employees attacked. We've had all sorts of things. And that's not fair to anybody, when they haven't most of the time gone through the rights. But I don't want to hide anything either. Right.
Yeah. So would there be a way where someone could submit a written question to the board to have us discuss it? And then if they still want to speak about it, if we don't have a solution, they can speak about it later. Or we can try to work through it.
Well, to me, that's our policy, that they present us something in writing after they've been through all the channels. But I'm being serious. I'm not trying to say this way or that way. I really, like, Becky, what do you think of any instances where they would come that?
Well, I'm just thinking about what's happened in the past. And I was one that came to the board meeting a few years ago. And I think it's all about, we're a small community, and I think we ought to appreciate the community for taking an interest and coming forward and coming to the board meetings and expressing their concerns. I think there's a fine line between following the proper channels and what they would, I understand what you're saying, you know, you're saying, well, what would they have to say that they wouldn't go through the proper channels first? But think about some of these people that have been here before just recently and the things that they wanted to talk about. You know, they were talking about finances. I can't remember exactly everything, but I mean, I see both sides. They might not have time to run down whoever it is that they need. They might not even know who they're supposed to talk to if they want to talk about finances. You know what I mean? And it's just easier for them to come to a board meeting. They know they're on Monday nights at 6:00 and maybe they want to give their 3 minutes of their concern. I feel like when we don't allow that, I feel like they feel like they aren't being heard. And when they have to go to somebody first, then it's kind of like somebody's going to try and put the fire out before it comes to the board. And maybe that's the purpose. Maybe that's what we're supposed to do. But they don't feel like they've had their time to speak. I don't know. You know, the incident that I'm talking about where I spoke about, you know, I was there to support somebody who was wanting a job. I don't even know why that was made into a, you know, now I don't even remember why that was such a big board meeting. Why didn't it go through the proper channels, you know? But
I don't know. Why didn't you go to the AD or whoever?
I don't know. I mean, there were other people there speaking that night too. But the whole thing about that night for me was the way I was treated. I think you can be tactful. I think you can be courteous. I think you can be respectful. And that goes a long ways. But when you come in here and you're like, okay, you have 3 minutes. You're not going to go over 3 minutes. And what is it you want to talk about? You know, when you treat people like that, that doesn't look good for any of us because they are the community. They have kids here, most of them. They have concerns, and I feel like we need to listen to them. That's just like I said, I think it can be done tactfully and respectfully. And if I understand right, I thought Tammy had told us at any point when somebody's speaking, if it gets out of hand or if they're getting nasty with somebody, I think any of us can stop it, can't we? It's not just the president. I mean, any of us can stop it.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we're at fault just as much. If it's gotten like that in the past, we're at fault for not stopping it. That's just my feeling, you know, but sometimes I think people felt like they were stopped before they even got started. So,
but what, like on the finances, what would we have directed them to talk to? Like we weren't able to answer their finance questions. And
no, but at least we hear what their concerns are. You know, we can't answer.
Yeah, but they can email us to know their concerns. And
the way our policy is set up right now, though, somebody can always come in here and talk about finances because we always have a financial report. So you know what I mean? Like that aspect might be okay.
How would they do that? How would people know during the financial report how to?
they would sign up on public.
Well, they
I
would
want to
sign
speak
up
about
on public
finances.
forum.
And then that's
what they would.
an agenda item.
As long as it pertains to what they want to talk
Something.
to.
Okay.
And just like I think with the coach thing, I remember like when everybody came in and talked, that was the topic too. So that was a topic that everybody could talk on because it was on the agenda. So that also pertained to that. I just don't want to like change too much. I mean, I'm okay with changing stuff, but gotta figure out how to protect the names. Like, because I've been in 3 or 4 meetings where names start getting thrown out, and it got pretty ugly. I think one of them was, I didn't think actually anybody was on the board then, and it got very ugly. But that's my only opinion. It's just somehow, I don't care about any of it else, but somehow to protect when a name gets brought or an individual gets brought up. But at the same time, I think you can also get by with this. I do get the whole thing of being like open to the public, you know, like letting people talk about what they want to talk about. But most of the time, it seems like something pertains to it on the agenda. I don't know.
And I guess I feel like too, I know several of us get contacted by people, you know, throughout the day, weeks, whatever. I feel like maybe that would put an end to maybe us getting contacted all the time if they thought, because, you know, I'll be honest with you, when I'm contacted, I mean, I know what I'm supposed to do and everything, but I wish you all knew the same thing. You know what I mean? But we can't talk. We can't bring it up at board
But-
meetings and we can't get together and talk, but I don't feel like it's just my issue to solve. You know, I say, okay, so you need to go to the coach or you need to go to the teacher or did you go to the principal? Did you go to the superintendent? You know, that kind of thing. But, I don't know. I just think it was like this before. We just changed it. And I know why we changed it. I think we all know why we changed it. And I don't see anything wrong with taking it back the way that it was if Jamie's comfortable with that. But, you know, I'll go with whatever anybody, the majority wants.
I'll go with what the majority, I mean, I'm against it, but I'll go with what I'll vote how I'll vote, but I mean, I'll support, obviously I have to if the majority wants it, but I still don't think that the role of the board is to solve those problems, and by them bringing it to us is,
There's another thing
You know,
is like
it's
when you get some
unproductive.
email or something, and a way to do that is like, cause more than likely we all probably got the same email, is we can still confine and like talk to Jen to get that on the board, but you know what I mean, on the agenda as a discussion item,
For the
if
next
we think it's something that needs to be discussed. And that gives it more of a controlled environment to us to be able to just work it out. That's my opinion, I guess. I don't know. I
just think as long as we can protect the integrity of everyone who's putting their blood, sweat, and tears into the district.
Yeah, that's my
And
thing.
if one person comes who's upset about something,
I'll go with any policy as long as we can protect the people in the, I don't know.
Yeah, I do like this one where they have it set up. You can offer criticisms of operations and programs, but not the personnel. That's pretty easy to state right there. And then you're not going to have that problem of someone coming in and complaining about a teacher or something like that.
right.
So, and it still lets them voice their concern in a forum where they want to
I
come.
mean, yeah, I agree. I mean, that pretty much states pretty good.
Not how you used to have it.
no,
No.
just that.
It's
Yeah.
kind of
It's on the
Free.
identity.
Okay.
Protect, what you can focus your conversation on, and it's public forums to, for that, not for individual.
however many years ago was it? 4? I don't know when our last one was revised. It's basically you could come in and talk about anything you wanted. And then
2024.
Then we moved to that 2024 to has to be on the agenda because of, I don't know, there's like 4 things in a row. And it's basically turned into that.
Yeah.
And now, yeah.
I really like where you highlighted that, just a notice to the public in Denison's that these are not public meetings. They're meetings around the public school held in a public setting. Just a reminder.
I mean, I guess the way I see it is we'll have people want to present things to put on the agenda. We could kind of expedite the process of come in, speak what you want to speak. Then we can decide then and there, put it on the agenda for the next discussion or not, or discuss it, at the time. Instead of having to, if someone has to wait 3 weeks, that can be a lot of frustration in those 3 weeks. And if they're not going to talk about it in here, they're going to talk about it somewhere. So may as well get it to our attention and out in the open, and we can decide then and there if it's something we need to move forward with or not.
So we want to move forward with a change. Am I hearing that? For the second reading, you want to change our policy?
I would like to.
I like this model from Denison. They can offer the criticisms of operations or programs, but not personnel or a person connected with the school system.
And maybe to say, maybe,
And then I'd also like to have a little bit of notice beforehand if they want to come in and speak, just a topic. So if there's something that we could.
This says 5 days.
Yeah.
We can read
Instead of
number 1.
figuring out that they're going to right when we log
Yeah.
in.
Number 1 shows that.
Could we align that with our 4-day notice?
Probably.
We will try.
I
very
would
hard
think
to
it
make
would
that.
have to be 5, and I think it'd have to be at least 5 for them to
Because
get
then
on.
we have to make.
Well, yeah, it would have to be before you put the agenda together.
Are we going to list out then on the agenda that they're going to be speaking?
No.
They
I
submit
think it'd just
something
be
5 days before.
sent out to us.
just to the board.
Yeah.
Just so we can prepare anything, information we may need.
And I think where it's like, if you use this exact sentence, speakers may offer such objective criticisms of school operations. Speakers may offer such objective, I don't like the word criticism there.
Discussion.
Yeah.
You know,
I can work on that.
I think by having them do that 4 or 5 days ahead, I think you're going to cut down on what you're going to have here. See what I mean? Which is fine. If that,
well, and that statement will too.
yeah. So
Was everyone comfortable with the 5 days?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can talk about it more in the second reading too, but just as a start, is that a good place to start?
And then we're adding that whole part right there with the changing of like criticism and stuff.
And do you want me to start with 5 minutes, or do you want to go back to 3, which is what I think your old policy was?
I don't care about that.
I don't either. I mean, you get some of them talking so fast you can't even.
5 minutes is a
Follow.
lot of time. I would guess most people won't fill it.
Yeah. But
I'm okay with 5.
me too.
Okay.
Do you want to put a cap on how long public forum's going to be?
Oh, there was one that says if there's so many speakers.
A lot of
it would be
them, I mean, most of them do have a cap, and they say,
I think our policy has something in there about if there's so many economic times.
No, there was no. There's a different one right here. If there's a something.
even the
Yeah.
Indianola one, like I said, that the majority that is in the template, they have an allotted time participation of, and those are left blank in the templates for people to put in like 30 minutes. I mean, if you want to have it open and have 5-hour
I don't think
meetings,
we'd ever have that.
Okoboji hasn't
It's-
really
Okoboji
clearly
has it.
defined, whereas Indianola's just says no more than 30 minutes. So
Yeah, with the whole full public forum.
I'd be okay with 30 minutes.
if everybody still gets their
So, like,
5
max
minutes,
of 6 speakers.
6 speakers max. Pretty much. So
If there's more than that, I'll wait for the next meeting, I think.
got it.
Yeah. That's fair.
So we can prep that for the second discussion.
that was the last policy on.
2:13.
So I think then what I gathered from this discussion is that, so make sure I got this right, but my recommendation is that you approve all of them except for 20602
As the vice president.
and 213. All the other ones you discussed, you weren't going to change the wording. Is that accurate? There was one of
That's
them.
accurate, yes. And then we'll just have the next meeting, say,
Were we going to add
Second.
anything under the legal counsel with the written response?
When she talked, she said you could say that when you made a motion.
Oh, and not put it in the policy, just added it to the motion.
That was where we kind of landed on that. But then,
After that, like you said, and kind of wrote something else, like, I think that's.
and then the other one that I think we're leaving and not changing was the meeting notice, the 4 days.
Yeah.
Okay. So those were the two bigger discussions. So do you want that formally? So the recommendation would be to approve all of them except for the vice president one, which we'll pull out. Or it doesn't matter because we
Yeah.
need a second reading.
yeah, well, yeah. 'Cause in August, we'll say,
Okay.
And we'll actually make a motion to approve all those that we didn't have any edits to.
After the
And
second
then
reading.
we'll review the ones that we edited and make motions on those.
Okay.
At that
Got it.
point.
Make a motion to approve all policies listed except.
Well, we don't have.
Well, not
We'll have a
except.
second reading.
We're
Well,
gonna
I'm saying, but like, do we just need a motion at all?
no.
Oh, we don't. Okay,
No.
I thought you had it.
I thought you were doing
That's
the.
what I thought.
I thought you were doing the adjournment motion.
Make motion. To
All in favor?
I thought you needed
Aye.
one because you can always waive the second reading. So I thought you needed one. To
Well, we're